Hey, aloha and welcome back to Ola Pono and Mr. E. We're here in the kitchen to eat good food and live a balanced life. We always start off here by washing our hands.
A few minutes later.
And today we're here with these limes. We've actually been using limes all summer for their tasty, zesty flavor. And I wanted to bring them into the kitchen because we know they've got citric acid inside of them. And that's what brings out that nice flavor that we've been using all summer. But the reason I brought them out is because they're super healthy as well. That citric acid has vitamin C in it. Vitamin C is something that helps keep us really healthy, and especially nowadays, that's an important thing to be, is to be healthy. Pirates used to make sure that they had limes on their boats so that they could prevent things like scurvy. So we got 3 recipes here for y'all today. First, we've got our old-fashioned limeade. Second, we're gonna be crushing some things up and making our sweet and sour lime dressing. And lastly, we're going to get into the oven and make our lovely lilikoi lime bars. So whenever you adventure here in Hawaii, one thing I find that you'll see a lot of is, that's right, lava fields. There are lava fields all over on the island of Hawaii. And there's 2 main types of lava that you'll usually see. It's cooled down, it's hardened, but you'll usually see either pahoehoe, which is like soft, ribbony kind of lava flows. The second type you might see is a'a lava flow. And that is more rough and ragged, and it's got harder, tougher corners, and you'll definitely hurt your feet if you step on that without any slippers. Actually, that's how I remember the name. An old uncle told me when I first came here that you'll always remember the name of that lava because if you step on it without slippers, you'll be saying, ah, ah. This next recipe is the type of drink that after a long Hawaiian adventure, you come home and you drink it and it's just gonna make you saying, limeade. And for this recipe, I'm actually gonna start off here at the stove top. I need some heat. I told you this drink is gonna be cool and refreshing. We're gonna add some things actually called electrolytes. Those are some things that you'll usually see in sports drinks, but a lot of those sports drinks have a bunch of other stuff in them too. So we're gonna make one with some all-natural electrolytes. And electrolytes are really important because they actually help transmit the electrical signals from your brain all throughout your body. So when you have a good amount of electrolytes in your body, your brain's gonna tell your body to do the right thing at the right time. What I like to use is salt. Salt is a natural form of electrolytes. So we're gonna use some of that in water. But we need to heat up our water first so it actually dissolves all of that salt. That way it actually makes it into a drink that we can enjoy that's not too rough on our teeth. So I'm here at the stove. Families, please make sure you're nearby your students now. They are gonna need some help here. I've got a pot and I've got a top here, and I'm gonna put that right here on my stove top, and I'm actually gonna put my stove top on medium heat. For my stovetop, that's about 3 or 4, but every stove is going to be different. Now that the stove is on, I need to make sure I'm paying attention to this big responsibility because now this is getting hot. I'm gonna add some things, and one of the most important things I'm gonna add to this drink is actually water. Water is gonna help dissolve all of these solids, that salt that I'm gonna add to this, and it's gonna help make this drink actually a drink. I'm gonna add this much water because when I add my lime juice, it's gonna be about that much lime juice, so I want 3 times as much water as lime juice. I like my ratios to be 3 times as much water as lime juice. Some people like to change up their fractions and their ratios a little more. So if you're not that much of a fan of lime juice, you might add more water. If you like lime juice, you might add more lime juice. I'm gonna do 3 times as much water. I'm gonna add that to my pot here. This jar is going to be important because this is where most of my drink is going to go when I want to refrigerate it. I'm going to keep that off to the side. And now that this is starting to heat up, I want to make sure I'm keeping my eyes on it. I'm keeping anything clear away from it that might also heat up because I want this to start boiling. When the liquid starts boiling, it actually is becoming, it's in between becoming a liquid and a gas. That's a really important temperature, and it's going to help to break down any solids that are in there. So first I'm gonna add some salt. Like I said, it's got those electrolytes in it, and I'm gonna add about this much salt into my drink. Looks salty, but I'm gonna balance it out with something else. Remember, Ola Pono's all about being balanced. So we're gonna balance this salty out with something that is sweet. One of my favorite local sweet treats is actually honey. If you've got any brothers or sisters under the age of 1, it's not recommended for them to get any honey. It's a natural food that comes from bees, and some of those things might not be good for kids that are too young. But I'm gonna add twice as much honey as salt. There's one. And a second one. This one I can actually just stir in. I'm gonna watch my pot until it boils. Once it boils, I'm gonna keep on stirring all this solid in here, and by that point, everything should be nice and dissolved. Can you all say dissolved? Yep. Dissolved is when everything that's solid in a liquid breaks down and it all becomes one solution. And if you're not a fan of honey, you don't have to use honey. You could use maple syrup or sugar. And if you don't have a pot or you don't have a stovetop, you can actually use an electric kettle or anything else that helps you to dissolve things and to heat things up. And now that this is boiling and everything is dissolved completely, I can actually put it right off to the side. We're gonna need this to cool down to room temperature. Then we're gonna combine it with our lemon juice, and we're gonna combine that, and then that's gonna be our limeade, filled with electrolytes, filled with vitamin C, and filled with some tasty honey. Please be careful. Now that the stovetop is off, it is still hot. So you wanna let it all cool down, just like we wanna let our simple syrup cool down as well. So now that we've let our solution cool down for about an hour, it's down to room temperature, which is important. We did dissolve our salt and our honey in there, our electrolytes. That's going to be part of our sports drink here. But we do notice that some of our liquid is actually gone. That's for a few reasons, actually. When you bring a liquid to boil, some of that liquid actually becomes gas. So it does get released in the gas, which we saw on the stove. Also, as we were transferring things between the pot, the stove, and our jar, we probably lost some liquid as well. But we do have a little bit less and just enough room for our last ingredient. It's our limes. Our limes are chock full of juice, but something I do to try and get more juice out of it, I actually like to work with my limes a little bit, and I massage them a little bit. So I like to use my paws and actually give them a little massage. You want to be careful because just like when you're giving a massage, you don't want to smush somebody, but you do want to kind of feel it out. You want to bruise it just a little bit, and what that's going to do is let some of the juices out. If you get a little bit better with your knife, you can even use the side of your knife and just roll back and forth on there. You want to make sure you're careful, and families, again, be careful. That blade is still sharp, but we can just start, and you can almost start feeling that lime start to loosen up at some of its juice, and that's going to be perfect for our limeade. So let me go ahead and cut this in half and get this juice for y'all. I'm going to get my stance, watch out for my fingers, and I'm just going to cut this in half once. Now I got 2 halves of lime, and I want to make sure my seeds don't get in my drink. This right on top, and just run it around. And you'll start to see that juice fall down as if you were squeezing it, just with a little bit less work. Again, I usually don't like tools that have only one purpose in the kitchen, but I will say this one gets probably the most juice from your citrus. If you don't want this pulp, you don't have to use it. You can actually throw that away. If you are making our third recipe, our lovely Lily Koi lime bars, you're actually going to want to save that lime skin. It's got something on it called zest. You can actually get the zest off with a tool, and what's going to happen is it's going to have all this lime flavor and smell to it. But for now, we're just looking for our lime juice. I'm going to replace my lid because I actually have to wait to enjoy this. It's best served ice cold. To make sure it gets as cold as possible, I'm going to put this in the refrigerator and serve it over ice. Perfect. It's nice and cold and chilly and ready to be served. My favorite way to serve it is over ice on a nice hot day, especially after an adventure on some of that lava or that pahoehoe lava, checking out all those amazing things that Hawaii Island has to offer. Cheers. Ooh, man, that is a good savory drink right there. Yum. It definitely has got a lot of electrolytes in it. I think that is awesome, especially after a hot day. I think next time I would probably add a little bit more sugar, maybe a little bit more of that honey to balance out that salt just a little bit more. But that right there is a nice, refreshing, tasty drink. And this all natural drink right here is, you know, it's what's in it, unlike all those other sports drinks that you might get at the store. Super refreshing, especially after a hot day adventuring in Hawaii. Some other things that are really refreshing, especially a hot day in Hawaii, is a salad. I love salads in all different forms. And the thing that really brings a salad together for me is our next recipe. And it's a dressing, our sweet and sour lime dressing. So this next recipe here today is a salad dressing. Now salads are a mix of local greens, fruits, vegetables that just kind of come together and you can eat them together. And I think you're gonna like this dressing recipe. It's got sweet, it's got sour, and it's all based in our lime right here. So I'm gonna be using a jar here to keep everything in, and I'm going to be using my lime a lot. So one thing about lime is I'm gonna be using a lot of the juice, and to get that juice out, I'm going to try to massage it out. And one thing I'm actually going to do is use my paws and massage this lime. I'm actually going to put a little bit of my weight on it. I don't want to smush the lime because it's going to let all the juice out and break the skin. I don't want to break the skin. I want to be gentle and mindful. I just want to massage out, and you'll start feeling some of that juice massage out of that. We are going to be using a sharper knife, and if you have the blade facing away from you, you can actually use that as a small surface and rock back and forth to then get a little bit more of that juice massaged out. Once you feel like you got it nice and pretty good there, that's going to help us get as much of this juice as we can out. Now, before I get any of this juice out, one thing I'm going to want to do is actually use a lot of that skin. It's got something on it that's called zest, and that actually is what has a lot of that citrus flavor to it.
Yeehaw!
I'm going to add that to my actual dressing because it's going to make my dressing that much zestier. So I'm going to get a grater here, Now these can be careful because if you get too close to them, they can actually grate your fingers. But I'm looking for ones with small teeth right there. This would be better for cheese or something. This is gonna be perfect for my lemon skin. So I'm just gonna put it right on top of my jar, and I'm gonna go ahead and actually grate just a little bit of that zest right on there. You'll see that the zest is green. You wanna stay away from the white part of the skin. That means you went just a little bit too far, and that's not gonna add a tasty flavor to your dish. And you'll start seeing it here. It's actually going to come off of your lime right there. And it's going to start making its way into our jar that's going to have our salad dressing. I think that's a good amount of zest. If you really like lime flavor, you can add more zest. This lime is full of it. And if you don't want to use it in this recipe, you can save all of your zest for our third recipe, our lovely lily koi lime bars. But let's refocus on this recipe. Okay, now I've got some zest in my jar. I'm gonna wanna follow up with some of this juice that we just massaged out. So I'm gonna take my knife and I'm gonna cut this lime right in half. Same thing, strong stance, staying away from my fingers. Now I think I got a good idea of how to do this. Now I'm gonna put my lime juice in here, and if you don't have any other tools, you can just squeeze it right through your fingers to make sure that none of the seeds get through. I'm gonna use another tool just to keep my area as clean as possible for filming purposes. I don't usually like these kind of tools, but you know, I think they have a good purpose for this kind of thing. So I'm gonna use this to squeeze as much lime juice as I can. So I'm gonna put that firmly on my cutting board and go ahead and same idea. And of course, my other half. 2 halves, make 1 whole. Now that I've juiced my lime, I can tell I've juiced my lime because the insides are pretty much fully worked and all my juice is now in here. I want to keep an eye on how much juice I had. It's going to be important for my fractions on what I choose to put the other ingredients within, okay? So I'm going to take my juice here and pour that right in my jar that has my zest already in it. For this next part, I'm going to add an oil, something with some fat to kind of bring this whole thing together. You gotta balance this out. This is just citric acid right now. And the oil I'm gonna be using, the fat I'm gonna be using is olive oil. Olive oil is got a lot of good fats in it. You don't wanna eat too much of it, but some during the day is good. About 1 to 1, the same amount to the lime juice right there. Now, if you remember our last episode on densities, you might see that these 2 liquids, that's right, they have different densities. And if we look at them right here, we can see because they have separated. So we're gonna be adding some more things to our dressing, putting our jar lid on, mixing this up before we wanna actually put it on our salad. But we need a few more things to add to our dressing before it's actually finished. The next ingredient I want to put in there is actually one of my favorites. It's garlic. Garlic is an ingredient you will find in so many different recipes, and it's important to know how to get garlic out because sometimes it could look really tough. Garlic has this tough cellulose skin just like our onions do, and we need to get that off. So I want to get a bulb out, and what I'm going to do is use my fingers to actually carefully take some of this off. Get in there, and you're gonna find a little spot between bulbs of garlic right here, and I'm actually gonna pull it out. Once I pull that out, here I actually have 1 clove of garlic and another clove of garlic. For my recipe, this should be enough. If you don't like garlic, then you should probably just use 1. If you like garlic, you might wanna use a few more. Some people, they'll add a lot of garlic to their dishes, but we're still not ready to add this to our dish. We need to actually dice it up, and there's actually another layer of cellulose skin on there. So we gotta get that off. And here's a tip my father showed me. Again, we got our sharp knife, and what we're going to do here is use this knife to actually break that tough skin and get that nice garlic on the inside. Now, what I'm going to do is put my weight on the side of my knife just gently to break that open. I'll show you what it looks like and we'll do it again too, okay? So I'm gonna take my hand, make sure it's away from my blade, put my pressure right on that garlic right there, and just put enough weight and you'll start hearing it. Then you'll see it, and you'll see that cellulose skin actually come right off of that garlic. This is good to eat. This is not good to eat. And families, we're definitely working with sharp knives right now. And if you're noticing that students don't have enough power or weight to actually break this garlic, what you can do is actually just carefully put your knife right on top and give it one quick pop. You'll see that same exact skin broken right there. That cellulose skin could come off. Again, this is compost. This is good for our dressing. I'm going to put these on my cutting board. Now I can dice those up. That's going to take 2 perpendicular cuts, remember. First vertically this way, watching out for my fingers. And then cutting it 90 degrees this way to then make a nice little dice. And garlic is an ingredient that you'll see in so many different dishes. So learning how to work with garlic is a huge skill. Now I like my garlic pretty rough cut because I kind of like my salad dressing like that. If you like your garlic a little bit thinner, you can definitely make this whole thing smaller, but I'm going to leave it just like that and add that to my salad dressing. And as I add this to here, if you really wanted thin garlic, you can use that same grater we used before for our lemon zest and actually do that same thing with your garlic. Oh yeah, now we're starting to build a little salad dressing. There's actually just 2 more things I'm going to add to this to balance out this whole flavor. Because right now we've got something that is sour, we've got something that's oily, we've got something that is definitely bright, and now we're gonna add something that is gonna salt it out and then make it sweet. Can you guess what those 2 things are? What? Almost. What? It is salt and honey. Let's put it in there. Now what I'm gonna do is thinking about my fractions again. I'm actually gonna put 1/4 as much honey as I had lime juice. Now, unlike in mathematics, our fractions in cooking can be a little bit more of an estimate. And what I see there is that looks like about 1/4 of the lime juice and honey in there right now. And now what I want to do is put even less salt. So I'm going to add 1/8 of the amount of salt that I did the amount of lime juice. That's going to balance out all my flavors, and I'm going to do that with just 2 pinches of salt here. 1. And my salad dressing is done. There's only one more really awesome thing to do, and that's to put your jar lid on. Shake, shake, shake. Shake, shake, shake. Shake, shake, shake. Shake your dressing. Shake, shake, shake. Shake, shake, shake. There's your dressing. Now, you can put that all over different sorts of things. You can actually use this on a chicken or a beef if you want to use it as a marinade. You're going to put it on a grill. But what I'm going to do is actually make a veggie salad. We know we could always do a lot of different things with it. And like I said, you can enjoy this dressing over all different sorts of things, like our local greens, for example. Just amazing to take some of that dressing and drizzle it right over and enjoy that. But if you want something a little different, I just learned about this smashed cucumber that I think is going to work really great with this salad dressing. And it actually only has 1 vegetable. It's a cucumber. I've cut this cucumber in half already, and it's actually going to be a very fun little recipe. You're going to need something heavy. You're going to need a bag. And you're going to need some strength, okay? So we're going to take our cucumber, a little baggie like so. And just like it says, a little smashed cucumber. I'm going to make sure this is closed properly. Now I don't want this mushed cucumber. I want smashed cucumber. So I'm going to take something heavy. I'm just going to smash it just a little bit. Take that. That goes in a bowl right there. We take our dressing, pour it just a little bit over there. And there we have smashed cucumber salad with our sweet and sour lime dressing. Big chunks. Maybe next time I'll make smaller chunks. Anyway, cheers. Oh yeah, that cucumber is so fresh and watery. And that dressing, it's got that garlic bite to it. But the honey is kind of sweet in there. That's a great combination on a hot day. I think you're definitely gonna love that right there. And it's just awesome because it's so healthy and it's full of just vegetables. And we know what's in our dressing too. Now we don't always eat healthy, and that's okay. So if you're interested in having something that's a little more sweet, maybe something that's more for dessert, I think you're gonna love our last recipe, our lovely Lilikoi lime bars. And Ola Pono is all about making good choices in the kitchen to live a balanced life and eat good food. And one of the best parts of living a balanced life is being able to share all this good food with good people around you. I got my special guest here to share this food with as well. So she just made her way into the house, which is awesome. Leah, how are you?
Hi.
Cheers.
Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh, that's so good.
Thanks for joining us.
I'm gonna try. Ooh, yum. shit. This is amazing.